All right, well, Rob, we're doing a series in February on Oregon school finance. How do we get into this mess, and what's the best way to get out of it?
Right.
Your thoughts about that, please, first off.
Well, the budget that the schools are going to be facing is indeed going to be a tough one. The governor has released the number, $5.56 billion, I think, is his number for the coming biennium, and that's definitely a tough budget. And not only is the revenue flat to slightly down from last biennium, but school costs are going up, things they can't really control, like PERS costs, and to some extent, depending on the district, their health costs. And so what's clear is that they're going to have to figure out how to do things differently. There's just no getting around it because people literally do not have the money anymore. We're just basically out of money. We can't afford to fund the schools as we'd like to. And so it's very clear the schools are going to have to do some things differently.
So in the realms of labor contracts or purchases or ways to economize, they're going to have to go the max then?
Yeah, and I think it's going to look a lot of different ways depending on the school district, but all of those things, first of all, they're going to have to look on how to educate kids differently, using virtual schooling, for instance, and charter schools, because both virtual schools and charter schools in Oregon spend between 1/2 to 2/3 the amount of your regular public schools. So it can be a cheaper alternative to delivering a public school education, and school districts are going to have to start embracing those movements and stop trying to prevent those movements. Then, as you say, there's going to have to be some changes in contract negotiations. They're going to have to get tougher with their labor costs, however they do it. And I don't see any way around that either. You know, the legislature will be talking about doing things to put more tools in the hands of school boards so they can take a harder line with the contract negotiations.
How much is the PERS system to blame for part of the problem here?
Certainly part of it, because school districts have to pay that PERS bill before they pay any other bill. And if the percentage of their contribution to the PERS plan goes up like it did this year, 6 percentage points, and that's not 6%, but that's 6 percentage points, depending on district, it could be as much as a 50% increase in that one line item. That comes right out of the hide of your staffing budget. And so it's certainly partially to blame for it.
All right, now, Rob, what about Measure 66 and 67 that the voters approved last year? I thought that was supposed to be the panacea.
Well, that's what they told us, that if we raised income taxes to 11% on the people making $250,000 or above, that it would, all go to pay for schools. But here's what happened. Governor Kitzhaber, before he took office, but after the election, he went in front of the Oregon Business Summit, and he said, look, people, Oregon is in a death spiral. And here's what he means by that. When you have a weak economy, obviously tax receipts go down. If you then raise taxes like we did with Measure 66 and 67, the economy gets weaker still, and then tax receipts go down further. That's what he means by a death spiral. I think what we saw with Measure 66 and 67, that it proved raising taxes is not the long-term answer. We have to grow the economy, and raising taxes makes it harder to grow the economy. Now, I know Eugene is looking at their own local income tax to go to schools to plug this gap. But see, if they do that, that's only going to make this death spiral accelerate.
But you've got parents here in Eugene very concerned about the future of their system.
Of course they are, and we can all sympathize with, I'm a parent too. My children went through public schools, and budget cuts are tough. But what the reality of the situation is, we just don't have the money. Measure 66 and 67 proved that raising taxes doesn't result in more money for schools. The schools are going to have to change. Everybody in the private sector pretty much reset their own budgets to face the realities of the new economy, but so far the public sector has not had to do that.